How you doing out there? How you doing? Welcome to the Frankie Russo pre-show number 72. I've been doing these for quite some number of weeks now, so they're on, I think at least four are on my Frankie Russo video, my YouTube channel. So you can check them out to give you more background on this outline. I don't really want to go into in depth on this outline because I want to get into some of the data from these law review articles and the case, the Hanskew case, the Kelly Moore case. I want to go through that a little more again, and then I want to get into the a little something I want to throw in there because I'm getting ready to really bring this full circle once they come out with the Iranian nuke deal. The Congress will have 30 days, if I'm not mistaken, 30 days to review the deal. That's my understanding. So, and then we're going to go full throttle. So we're going from the shore because, as I mentioned, I'm not stopping on this. I'm not getting caught following the news cycle, following the bouncing ball. I'm focused on the Obama administration, the executive branch of the United States government is a criminal, conceivably a criminal enterprise. I say it every week. It's a theory. I have sources: Judicial Watch, Freedom of Information Act, Weekly Standard, Rachel Effenfeld of the American Center for Democracy. I have congressional oversight committees by Senator John Keel. Also, we have what else? Oh, Lewis and Clark Law Review Journal article by Kelly Moore. The Hanskew case, Hanskew versus Special Services Division. Anything else? I mentioned the Weekly Standard. And Sheriff Joe and Cole Posse did an investigation on Obama's Selective Service Card, and it's statistically significant that it's fraudulent, meaning the card was never mailed. So, therefore, according to federal law, Obama is an illegal president. So, that's all in my shows on the pre-shows on the Frankie Russo Video YouTube channel. It goes into in depth on that. So I just want to So that's how I'm flowing. I'm focused on this. I believe that this gets everybody. This implicates Obama, Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, everybody. So with this theory, we get rid of them because this is statistically significant. I believe. Court papers, judges' decisions, Congressional Oversight Committee papers. We got a law review journal article. We got Freedom of Information Act, Freedom Judicial Watch documents from the Freedom of Information Act. So the State Department documents that they garnered from the Freedom of Information Act, the Judicial Watch. We also, so I mean, this is, I believe, statistically significant. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I just don't understand the question on this whole thing because we got Obama, we got the doing a memorandum of understanding with the Clinton Foundation, and then the Clinton Foundation taking $105,000 from the Levy Foundation, who was involved in the 650 Fifth Avenue case with Catherine Forrest's decision in favor of Preet Bharara's complaint that this terrorist entity, a Levy Foundation as a corporation, and Bank Melli of Iran was a front organizations for the Iranian government. So basically, according to Judge Catherine Forrest's decision on the 650 Avenue case, the Iranian government gave $105,000 to the Clinton Foundation. And 650 Fifth Avenue building was forfeited and seized to the families of the victims of the unfortunate attack of September 11th, 2001, the terrorist attack, and also the families of the Marines who were bombed in the families of the Marines who were killed in the Beirut bombing, unfortunately. So that's where the proceeds of the sale of the 650 Fifth Avenue building is supposed to go to. Now, there's another situation. There's more to this. because it's not just 105,000. You know, people say, "Oh, we gave 25 million." I say this every week: 25 million to Saudi Arabia. What's $105,000 donated from the Levy Foundation to the Clinton Foundation? Well, federal statutes, the FBI definition of a criminal enterprise has the Title 18 of the United States Code, the RICO statute, and Title 21 of the United States Code. Person or organization only has to know that the money that they're receiving from this other organization or person is deemed a terrorist entity, then the transaction is illegal, it's prohibited. So that's under those federal statutes, and then you have the other situation on October 21st, 1998, the Clinton signed the President Clinton signed this omnibus bill in Section 117, which garnered Americans the right to obtain damages for losses of loved one in these terrorist attacks. They're actually able to recover from the assets of these terrorist regimes through the requirements of Section 117 of the 1999 omnibus bill that President Clinton signed October 21st, 1998. And then 3 hours later, Presidential Determination 99-1 waived the requirement of Section 117, which was in favor of the American people getting money for the losses of their loved ones in these terrorist attacks from these terrorist regimes like Iran and others, like 650 50th Avenue building. But in the Presidential Determination 99-1, he waived the requirement, and under national security, he waived the requirement. So this is what President Clinton did. So the question I ask, and I've been asking it every week, is how doesn't President Clinton and the Clinton Foundation not know that the Levy Foundation is a terrorist entity? Because if they know that the Levy Foundation is a terrorist entity, according to the federal statutes, the transaction is illegal. And then you got under the Patriot Act, President Bush signed Executive Order 1322-4, which deems that terrorism is prohibited within the jurisdiction of the United States, and persons or organizations cannot exchange monies with terrorist entities within the jurisdiction of the United States and/or help terrorist entities avoid sanctions within the jurisdiction of the United States or wherever. It's deemed illegal. It's prohibited, that type of activity. Persons or organizations cannot exchange monies with terrorist entities under this Executive Order of 1322-4. So donations from the Levy Foundation under the Executive Order 1322-4 by President W. Bush is deemed illegal, from the Levy Foundation to the Clinton Foundation. The Levy Foundation, Asa Corporation, and Bank of Iran are deemed by the court papers to be terrorist entities. And in addition, the Levy Foundation, these terrorist entities cannot, there's no person or organization cannot aid, cannot help the Levy Foundation, Asa Corporation, and Bank of Iran to avoid sanctions put on them by the United States Treasury Department, by the United States Justice Department, by the FBI, or whomever, whatever government agency deemed it appropriate to sanction or freeze assets of these terrorist entities. The Clinton Foundation cannot help them avoid those sanctions. So is the Presidential Determination 99-1 doing just that, is the question. Okay. And so this is with all this information, then we got this other thing. The Levy Foundation gave $1.5 million to the Blind Chicks Mosque. And we have three sources. We have Rachel Effenfeld from the American Center for Democracy. We have American Spectator, based on, in the article, it quotes public tax records of the Alevi Foundation show that over $1.4 million was given to the Blind Sheikh's Mosque. And also the Hanskew case versus Special Services claims that $1.4 million went from the Alevi Foundation to the Blind Sheikh's Mosque. So why are we all concerned about this? Why do we bring this up every week? Why are we concerned about this? Well, obviously, like I say every week, I don't have access to classified documents. I don't sit on the Joint Chiefs of Staff. I don't sit on congressional oversight committees. I don't sit on the International Atomic Energy Agency. So I look for statistical significance. And I'm saying I look at the federal statutes. I look at the President Clinton's signing of the Omnibus Bill of 1999 with the Section 117, and then he does Presidential Determination 99-1. Then I look at President W's Executive Order 1322-4, which talks about prohibiting of persons or organizations cannot exchange money donations from other organizations that would deem terrorist entities, as well as can't help persons or organizations can't help terrorist entities to avoid sanctions, a system to go around sanctions. Is that what 1999-1 does? Because he waives Section 117 under the guise of national security. So that's where I'm at with that. So then we go to this to show that the data is so enormously, it's just so much data out there. I don't know how President Clinton and the Clinton Foundation doesn't know that the Alevi Foundation is a terrorist entity. And then I go to the Kelly Moore, just to run through this Kelly Moore case. I want to go through this Kelly Moore article again from the Lewis and Clark Law Review Journal. And this basically talks about before and after 9/11, and then it talks a lot about the Blind Sheikh's Mosque. And the FBI, they get informants. Like there's an informant called the Honey Jar informant, which was merely engaged in illegal money transmitting business, sending monies from families in Brooklyn to their relatives in the FBI, to their relatives, sending monies from families in Brooklyn to their relatives in Yemen. Okay, so the FBI was working with this Honey Jar informant because the Honey Jar informant was attending the Blind Sheikh's Mosque. So at the time, the Honey Jar informant was involved in this illegal money transmitting business, had a trial. So in order to garner some, I guess, a leaner sentence or whatever, he decided to work with the FBI, the Honey Jar informant. So what happened was the Honey Jar informant's working with the FBI, and it was a 6-month information provided by the Honey Jar informant led to an intensive 6-month investigation of a Brooklyn ring led by a man named Al Riani. The investigating agent used Title III wiretaps, physical surveillance, grand jury subpoenas, undercover operations, and 5 search warrants to indict approximately 20 individuals for unlicensed money transmitting. Now, understand something. This Honey Jar informant was from a Brooklyn area, an area in Brooklyn with historical connections to radical Islamic extremism. The defendant attended the Blind Sheikh's Mosque, where this is where the Blind Sheikh, who was the imam of this mosque, and this is where it's been confirmed through many sources, this is where discussions relating to the plot to bomb the Holland and Lincoln Tunnel took place. As well as we know, it's been proven in the courts, in judges, in jury trials, in judges' decisions, court papers, the Blind Sheikh was found guilty as being the mastermind of the World Trade Center bombing in 1993. and is serving a lifetime sentence. So we are now in Brooklyn with this Brooklyn ring, who we know the informant has a connection with the Blind Cheeks Mosque. So the honey jar informant. Most of the defendants of this Brooklyn ring, led by Al Rani, pled guilty. And from this Al Rani case, came a walk-in informant, in addition to the honey jar informant. So this walk-in informant conveyed that he had contact with the sheikh from Yemen, Sheikh Mohammed Al Mawad, who was involved in supporting the jihadists throughout the world. Now, this Sheikh Al Mawad from Yemen claimed many things, and the FBI sent this new informant that came out of the Brooklyn ring, which dealt with, let's go over the numbers again. It dealt with quite a number of individuals. So this informant that claims to have contact with the Yemen Sheikh Mohammed Al Mawad, the FBI planned to send this informant to Yemen on 3 separate occasions to gather information from this Yemen Sheikh. On the first trip, the informant asked the Sheikh about the people who provided weapons to the jihadists. The informant returned from Yemen with several names. On the second trip, the FBI instructed the informant to gather information about people in Brooklyn who were involved in funding. I'm reading right from the article, from the Kelly Moore article. Involved in funding terrorist organizations. The FBI also instructed him to start to lay the groundwork for a future undercover operation by introducing a rich American Muslim who wanted to donate money. This is an American informant, a sting. It's a sting operation now because they're bringing in a rich American Muslim who wanted to donate money to support jihadists, it was an FBI informant that they were going to bring in. So after the second trip, the informant reported that the Sheikh Al Mawad, the Sheikh from Yemen, claimed to have met Osama bin Laden twice. Okay. And that Al Mawad had received money collected at the Blind Cheeks Mosque. So you see the connection in Brooklyn. And that Al Mawad, the Sheikh from Yemen, would be willing to meet this Fugazi, fake, rich American donor. He doesn't know that, but that's what that was. It was an FBI informant. And the informant that met with this Yemen Sheikh came back with a list of names written by Al Mawad of people who he claimed he could be, people whom he claimed could be relied on to send money from the United States to support terrorism. And one of the names from that list, from this Yemen Sheikh, Al Mawad, is the owner of this small ice cream parlor in Brooklyn. And, like I say every week, and I've said this for some time, you go hang out in a in an ice cream parlor, you're having a Sunday, and in comes four FBI agents. Hey, what's going on? I'm having my, having my Sunday. I'm eating my Sunday. What's going on over here? Who's the owner of this enterprise? I don't know. I'm eating my Sunday. I'm walking off the street. And what happens is you find out subpoenas to the stores, banks quickly revealed that between 1996 and 2003, the bank accounts of this tiny ice cream parlor have been used to funnel over $20 million overseas. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 bank accounts, money transmitting scheme to the ice cream parlor to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 countries sponsoring terror. Based on this development, the FBI sent the informant wearing, all wired up, met with the owner of the ice cream parlor and decided to talk to him about sending money to Al Mawad in Yemen, the Yemen sheik, that got money from the Blind Sheik's Mosque, that met with Osama bin Laden, has all this information, and they have on record claiming to have funded terrorism. So, isn't this crazy when you think of all this information? How doesn't President Clinton not know that the Alevi Foundation, who gave $1.4 million to the Blind Sheik's Mosque, how he doesn't know the Alevi Foundation is a terrorist entity? How does he not know that? Because if he knows that, he can't make the transaction. So the owner of the ice cream parlor, the FBI told the informant to, wearing a wire and everything, and went to meet with this owner of the ice cream parlor who has they're sending the $20 million to they're funneling to these accounts. There's $21 million in this tiny ice cream parlor's bank account. In a taped conversation, the owner of this ice cream parlor said he already told Al Mohad, the Yemen sheik, that he could not send any more money there because they're being watched. And the conversation, so that, according to the ice cream parlor owner, who has $20 million in his bank accounts from 11 upwards different bank accounts. 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 bank accounts, money transmitted into this ice cream parlor bank account and sent to overseas accounts, 16 countries, support terror. So, however, according to the owner of the ice cream parlor, he told the Yemen sheik, Al Moad, that he could not send any more money because they're being watched. He said during the conversation to the FBI informant, the owner of the ice cream parlor suggested an alternative method of sending money abroad with individuals who travel with diplomatic passports like Sheikh Satur. So the tip prompted the FBI to gather all information available for Sheikh Satur. And they found out that, him too used diplomatic passport to travel to Brooklyn late 1990 for fundraising. FBI surveillance had a trip, tied a 3-day trip, and he was picked up. He was constantly in a company of a man named Newman. Newman picked up Sheikh Satur at the airport, and was staying where he was staying, and took him from mosque to mosque, making fundraising speeches. Took him to the ice cream parlor, the owner of the ice cream parlor and his ice cream parlor, to send funds to Yemen, ate meals with him, took him home every night, and finally dropped him off at the airport at the end of his trip. Directly after New York, the Sheikh Satur traveled to Italy, Italian authorities. He attended a well-known radical mosque in Milan, made speeches praising Osama bin Laden, calling for support of bin Laden and jihads in Chechnya. The FBI, with all this going on, the FBI informed days later that while in Brooklyn, Sheikh Satur had been making the similar fundraising speeches to raise money to support bin Laden and terrorism, that his escort Newman would know exactly what Sator had been saying and doing. So the agent interviewed Newman and claimed to have only minimal contact with Sheikh Sator and denied assisting him in any way with fundraising. Well, as we know, Newman's statements were thoroughly contradictory of all the physical and electronic surveillance that had been conducted by the FBI, and while Sator was in the United States during a 3-day visit. Lying to the FBI is a federal offense for which Newman was eventually arrested, tried, and convicted. So this is all going on in. I mean, this is like unbelievable, right? This is from the informant who was attending the Blind Cheeks Mosque, the ice cream parlor owner, from the ice cream parlor owner to with the $20 million to the Sheikh of Sator, who was fundraising with Newman. And so the evidence was so Newman's statements were thoroughly contradictory, as we mentioned earlier. Lying to the FBI is a federal offense for which Newman was eventually arrested, tried, and convicted. Significantly, the evidence used to convict Newman consisted largely of the surveillance conducted in late 1999, the FISA wiretap intercepts that had been shelved prior to the request to declassify the evidence for use in the Newman criminal investigation. Thus, but for the Newman criminal prosecution in 2004, the evidence may not have been used, etc. Okay. The investigation of Sheikh al-Moad continued with a third trip, because remember earlier we mentioned 3 trips. This is the third one now. And the FBI instructed the informant to tell the Sheikh that the American donor needed proof of Sheikh al-Moad's involvement in supporting terrorism. He returned with 4 receipts from charity organizations that al-Moad claimed were front organizations for Hamas, which is designated a terrorist organization. He also brought a video of a group wedding that had been sponsored by Sheikh al-Moad. Sheikh al-Moad had invited the informant to videotape the wedding to bring back to the American donor as proof of al-Moad's efforts to prepare the youth for jihad. During the wedding, the leader of Hamas in Yemen made a speech praising al-Moad for sponsoring the wedding and announcing the success of a Hamas suicide operation in Israel, which had taken place in Tel Aviv earlier that day. Wow, they were chanting Allah Akbar. Meanwhile, FBI gathered other evidence of al-Moad's ties to terrorist support, including Al-Qaeda training, camp entry from the list al-Moad as a terrorist, as a sponsor of terror, as a sponsor of a trainee. So it goes on to say that based on another case, the Lackawanna 6 defendants who cooperated with the government after his arrest, after the arrest in Buffalo, testified that this form was identical to the one he had filled out in connection with attending an Al-Qaeda training camp in Afghanistan. The Lackawanna defendant said that he would not have gained entrance to the camp without a sponsor who was known to the organizers of the camp to be a supporter of Al-Qaeda. So, of the evidence procured by the FBI during the al-Moad's investigation include documents seized by the jihadists in Croatia, including 2 address books that contain. But since al-Moad had indicated he was willing to travel to Germany to meet the FBI, enlisted the help of the German law enforcement, the plan to have a number of meetings with video and audio surveillance equipment installed. Al-Moad traveled to Germany to meet the American donor, who was also an FBI informant. During 3 days of meetings with 2 informants, the Sheikh discussed his past and current ties to Al-Qaeda and Hamas. With this evidence, he stated he provided financial support to bin Laden, agreed to use American donors' money to support any organization. Al-Moad was arrested and extradited to the United States, where he was tried and convicted for violating Title 18 U.S. Code 2339 by providing material support to Al-Qaeda and Hamas. He was sentenced to a term of 75 years. After the arrest in Germany, the owner of the ice cream parlor, the owner of this, was arrested for unlicensed money remitting in connection with the Brooklyn ring. He was convicted after trial, serving a 15-year sentence. Newman was arrested for lying to the FBI about his knowledge of Sheikh Satur's 1999 fundraising trip and was convicted after trial, serving a 5-year sentence. The FBI had hoped those defendants would cooperate by more information intelligence. This is all in connection with the Blind Sheikh's Mosque. So, with all these individuals, this is after the Blind Sheikh. This is after the Blind Sheikh. This is after the Blind Sheikh. The Sheikh from Yemen, Al-Muad, arrested, extradited to the United States, and was tried and convicted for violating Title 18 United States Code 2339 by providing military support to Al-Qaeda and Hamas. $20 million to Hamas, he was convicted for. $20 million to Al-Qaeda, $5 million to Hamas. He was sentenced to a term of 75 years. The ice cream parlor owner was arrested for unlicensed money remitting in connection with the Brooklyn ring, and he was convicted after trial and serving a 15-year sentence. That's 2. After the Blind Sheikh. Newman was convicted with his connection with the Sheikh Satur and his fundraising scheme. He lied to the FBI. He was convicted. And then we got the Sheikh Satur. And Newman is serving a 5-year sentence. So my question is, how doesn't President Clinton nor the Clinton Foundation not know that the Alevi Foundation is a terrorist entity? I just don't understand that. And I'm going over this and over this every week. I went over this article before. I wanted to go over it again, even with more detail, giving more of the names for you to understand that I don't understand between the Blind Sheikh, because I got more with the Hanskew case that I'm going to bring in. Muhammad Hanoudi, it's just out of the Blind Sheikh's Mosque. And the Jersey City Mosque, all these mosques that are affiliated with the Blind Sheikh's Mosque and the Blind Sheikh. So, how doesn't the President Clinton and the Clinton Foundation, Obama administration, not know that the Alevi Foundation is a terrorist entity? I just don't understand it. I believe this is statistically significant. Obviously, it hasn't gone through a Congressional Oversight Committee or any sort of sniff test of any government agency, but it is statistically significant and it's worth a look at. It is the Frankie Russo show. I'm sorry. I have to focus. People want, I have to focus on this because I believe that this is statistically significant. Our relationship with the Iranian government, because this is leading up to this Iranian nuke deal, and I'm going to bring this full circle because I didn't even get into it. I'm cutting into the live show, my prep for the live show. So, because I got this other thing I'll bring it in next week, and I'm going to bring it more into. I'm going to go back. I'm going to go into the Hanskew case, and I'm going to go into the chief negotiator for Iran, the Iranian defector, and I'm going to show with the sources, the connections, and the outline that we are, not only are we we're lifting the sanctions with Iran, and Iran's going to be the OG of the Middle East, but they're going to be nuclear. So it's crazy. So this is the Frankie Russo Prep Show number 72. I got an email, Frankie Frusso14 at AOL.com. If you want to see some of the sources, I'll send over the links to you. Frusso14 at AOL.com. Any questions, comments? You can also, I got Facebook.com/Frankie Russo Show, and I'm Frankie Russo1 at Twitter. Also, hold up here now. Also, I got America's Team. I want everybody to join this. Go to Facebook.com/Frankie Russo Show and join America's Team and get a t-shirt. Okay, join America's Team. We're going to do this. It's the Frankie Russo pre-show number 72. I see you all within the hour. We're going live over here at 77 WABC. Yeah. Okay.